Vicrez and everyone else checking in on this video. As you guys can see, I have a 2005 Chevy Corvette behind us, and you guys might be wondering, well, why do you have a C6 Corvette when Vicrez doesn't make anything for Corvette? Well, I kind of have a different opportunity that I want to work with Vicrez on, and that is to actually use their C7 front bumper on my C6 Corvette. And everyone might be wondering, well, how are you going to put a C7 bumper on the front of your C6? Well, you know, in the Vicrez marketing, I've seen on your YouTube channel that you guys take a 350Z bumper, you cut it in half with a sawzall or jigsaw, and you basically panel bond it back together using your panel bond material. And that's kind of the plan that I want to use on the C6 front bumper. We're going to take the top half of the C6, basically the parts that clip into the body, and we'll use the top half of the C6 bumper, and we'll use the bottom half of the Vicrez C701 style bumper. And I have seen this done once before. Unfortunately, I can't really share a picture with you guys because it's on Instagram and I don't want there to be any copyright issues. But there is a user out there that has a C6 bumper, pretty much did exactly what I just said, and took, you know, the Vicrez C7 lower, grafted it into the C6 upper, and it looks pretty sweet. I might do things a little bit differently. That particular person eliminated the C6 front turn signals. I would try to keep those just because I've got an aftermarket set of turn signals coming, and I think it'd be really cool having the C6 stock turn signals because the front and backs are pretty much the same shape, as you guys can see right here with this amber turn signal. The back is the same shape in red. So that would be the first thing. And, you know, reading the sponsorship video submission, and you guys kind of, there's a couple questions like, you know, why do you want us? Well, that's because every aftermarket solution I've seen for the C6 Corvette, you know, whether it's a body kit, an aftermarket bumper, whatever, it's all fiberglass. And the real bad thing about Corvettes is the front of it is super low. So if you nail a parking spot, if you nail a curb, you know, the good chances are you're going to shatter a front fiberglass bumper. And why would I want to use the Vicrez parts on the lower half of the bumper? Well, first of all, you guys have the 01 grills already stamped out. I'm not sure if they're GM, I'm not sure if Vicrez makes them. I just don't know, you know, that product information. But you have the grills, the slots, and everything for it all to bolt together and clip together, and it looks stock. Second reason would be you guys have a plastic injection molded bumper. Now, I don't know if it's polyurethane, I don't know the exact material that you guys use, but it's not fiberglass and it looks flexible. I've seen the other marketing videos that Vicrez has done. You guys drive over it with a semi-truck or whatever. I think it might have been a C7 part that you guys drive over with a pickup truck or a semi-truck and whatever, and it pops back into shape. So, you know, that's the second advantage. Like we said earlier, you know, if we nail the curb, we hit a parking spot, whatever, fiberglass will break, you know, composite material will more likely break. With the polyurethane stuff, you know, it's flexible and you don't really have to worry about anything. So that's kind of the second thing. And the third reason I want to use the Vicrez bumper is actually because of performance. Now you guys might be wondering, well, how is a front bumper or lower half going to increase performance? Well, that actually has to do in the name of cooling. The C6 bumper is actually really narrow, so it doesn't allow the proper amount of airflow to go in to cool the radiator, the air conditioner, any of that stuff. Now on a stock application, I believe that little narrow opening is fine on a C6 Corvette. You know, there's a reason the C7 Corvette, the ZR1, they went with the giant ducts and all that airflow in the front of that car. And that's because that car has a 700 plus horsepower engine in it and it needs a lot of cooling. Well, guess what? I also have a 700 plus horsepower engine in this car. It's heavily modified. I've got a TVS 2300 supercharger from Edelbrock. Because we have all these parts under the hood, you know, we are sacrificing transmission cooler, we're sacrificing oil cooler. I do have an aftermarket radiator that has that all built in. Now, if I actually had the Vicrez bumper, you know, we could actually take advantage of the front grill, side grill on the passenger and the driver's side. Basically, what we could do is we could actually add aftermarket heat exchangers for the transmission as well as the oil cooler, and they would have their own dedicated cooling source on the very front of the car. So, you know, there's a lot of setups for this car that people do. You know, they cut the front bumper up, they go with an aftermarket bumper, but like I said earlier in the video, you know, those are usually composite or fiberglass. They're super expensive, and that kind of leads into the fourth reason why I want to use the vicrez bumper, and that's actually because their product is very affordable. You know, yes, it is a little bit over $1,000, but some of those aftermarket companies are charging almost $15,000 for a front bumper. And guys, that's not a bumper. It's actually just some carbon fiber components that you graft into the front bumper. So basically take a stock C6 bumper, you cut a hole in it, you stick in this carbon fiber piece, and yeah. So, I mean, hey, it looks great, but it's super expensive. And with the C7 style headlights I have on here from Morimoto, you know, that C7 ZR1 bumper I think would look really good. To actually show you guys what this will look like, I did a little bit of a Photoshop of my car and a C7 bumper. I'm going to show you that here. Now that we've gone over those 4 reasons why I want to be part of the vicrez team and use their bumper, you know, we're actually going to go over the build a little bit. I've had this car since 2007, so we've had this car for over 13 years, 14 years, whatever the exact date is. And you know, I've had it, I put 50,000 miles on the car. I've done 9 hot rod power tour long hauls on it. We've drag raced, we've autocrossed, we've road course raced this car. You know, we've been pretty much everywhere you could think of with this car and done that. So let's go ahead and cut to the build footage and we'll go over that right now. As you can see right here, we are starting off the build series. And right now we're installing the Eaton 2300 supercharger kit. This was produced by Edelbrock and it pretty much bolts right in. Wasn't too much bad with this kit. And now you can see the aftermarket tank from Rosa we put in. This is a little ice tank that we modified and had powder coated, and we put that in under the hood. And here's another overview of it. And here we are assembling the Mishimoto radiator. We talked about this earlier in the video where we had to upgrade the cooling system, and the stock radiator system in the Corvette, like I said, is pretty weak when you start heavily modifying a car. Now if you keep the car stock, it's just fine, but also here you'll see the radiator shroud and fans. That is actually from ProSpeed, and here you will see us lowering the fan and Mishimoto radiator down into the car and kind of struggling with it because Corvette is kind of a pain to work on. Up next, you'll be looking at the various heat exchangers that we've upgraded to. The unit on the left is the stock Edelbrock one. The one on the right is an upgraded Edelbrock heat exchanger. It's what all the ZR1 guys use, and this is what it looks like installed back under the bumper. Next is a series of pulleys that we've gone and installed on the car with various boost levels. And next is actually, after we went through all those pulleys, it was time to upgrade the clutch and the drivetrain. So here we are removing the stock transmission and torque tube, and there's a reason for that. And here we're actually taking delivery of a new transmission. This new transmission and rear differential is out of a Corvette Z06. The Z06 units are a little bit stronger than the 2005 base model units, and they have a lot less tendency to snap. So here's actually removing the torque tube like we were saying. The way a Corvette works, you connect the back of the engine to the transmission and diff in the back. That's all connected by a torque tube. Here's it falling out of the car. And now we're actually going to be disassembling the torque tube, and that is because we're actually going to be upgrading the drive shaft. The stock drive shaft is usually fine, but the couplers can go bad, and there's the stock one. We're actually going to be installing a new carbon fiber drive shaft. This is from the drive shaft shop, and it's a pretty much bolt-in affair. All you got to do is check the bearings, install them, put the input shaft in, and slide it back into the torque tube and put everything back together. And there you go, we have a upgraded torque tube with a new drive shaft. Now these shots will actually be the clutch. We replaced the stock clutch a while ago. We then went to a LS7 clutch, but that didn't hold up to the power. We finally upgraded to a McLeod twin disc clutch. So this clutch has 2 clutch disc plates in it and is a McLeod RXT. I believe it's good for 1,000 horsepower or so. And here we're putting the car back together and we're sliding the the Z06 transition back in. And there you go, that's kind of the build-up series for the Corvette. We've been shooting this car for the last 3 or 4 years on YouTube. You know, I've had a YouTube channel for like 10 plus years, but we really didn't get serious about it until the last 3 or 4 years. and I've been uploading every week, once or twice a week for the last 4 years. So if you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, the channel name is Bone Crusher SS, and that's pretty much going to be it. I'd appreciate to work with Vicrez and hopefully get a front bumper set up on this car so that we can take this build to the next level with new front bumper, a new complete cooling package for the supercharger, the engine oil cooler, as well as the transmission cooler, and all that stuff would just be really great to work with your company and hopefully knock this thing out. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I hope we can work together. Thanks. Have a great one.